It was dead of night. I was huddled in a narrow alley, sobbing my heart out. The confession that staked my dignity and happiness for the rest of my life was brutally rejected. The other guy was the leader of those jerks from the neighboring turf. He was so good-looking and fought like a beast. He clearly didn't give me a second glance. But I'd been having dirty dreams about him for 2 whole months. It took me ages to build up the courage. And finally, I went to pour out my heart to him. To make my confession more convincing, I even made a freaking PowerPoint analyzing the benefits of our 2 gangs getting married for the city's development, both macro and micro. Besides that, I'd been building up my karma for ages. I gave all the brothels in my territory a day off, helped every old lady I could find cross the road, and sent my goons to collect cardboard boxes and plastic bottles to take to the recycling center, so no one had to rummage through the trash looking pitiful. After all that, all he did was coldly spit out 2 words, gross. I was heartbroken. Just as I was about to escape his trash-like stare, he grabbed me back. No way, this is too disgusting. I can't eat my dinner without giving you a beating. So, on top of being heartbroken, I got the crap beaten out of me. I lay on my back in the deserted alley, every part of my body aching. My face was wet. It's raining. I wiped it and realized it was tears. Me, a cold-blooded, brutal, almost heartless gang boss. After tasting the bitterness of love, I was crying like a baby. I sobbed a couple of times, then thought better of it. I lifted my head and looked around. There was no one in the dark alley, so I stopped holding back and lay down, wailing at the top of my lungs. For my unrequited love that ended prematurely, for my messy and embarrassing lovesick thoughts. I don't know how long it had passed, but I was too tired to cry and couldn't make any more sound. Then a clear male voice came from above my head. Who died here? I was still sobbing, but stopped when I heard that. I struggled for a long time between pretending to be dead and faking death, and finally silently got up from the ground. I patted the dust off my body and, by the way, grabbed my gun. Forget it, it's dark, and he probably doesn't know me. I'll let this passerby go and try to build up some good karma. I was just about to leave when the man let out a Oliver, you're leaving just like that? My mind went blank for a moment. I suddenly stopped in my tracks, shocked, and asked, you know me? The current head of the Spring Group. Of course I know you. No, this guy must be crazy. Since he knows me, shouldn't he pretend not to know me to save his life at this moment? I was still hesitating. After all, I've heard that disposing of a body is quite troublesome, so I offered him an easy way out. You didn't hear anything, right? The man let out a soft chuckle. Heard a bit. This guy's really nuts. I wasn't giving up and made it even easier for him. A bit is pretty much like nothing, right? He pondered for a moment, then said slowly, heard you tell the eldest son of the Fu family that when you first fought with him, you were already imagining what it'd be like to sleep with him. I fell silent. So he heard everything. I gritted my molars, lowered my voice and said, hey, are you tired of living? Just then, a large patch of dark clouds drifted away, and the cold moonlight poured down, illuminating this pitch-black alley. The previously indistinct figure in front of me became clear. A tall and handsome man. He looked kind of familiar. Who was he again? Couldn't recall. Another possibility immediately popped into my mind. Could he be some vengeful survivor? Judging by his calm and composed demeanor, he really didn't seem like an ordinary person who said, I'm tired of living. Oh, he slightly raised his eyebrows. You want to silence me? With that Beretta 92 in your pocket? My heart suddenly tightened. The tears dried on my face, making my skin feel a bit tight, just like my nerves at this moment. I pulled a long face and raised the pitch-black, cold and hard thing in my hand. I didn't understand where he got his confidence from. He didn't seem the least bit intimidated, and his calm, composed look made me very uneasy and annoyed. The sound of the gun being cocked was clear in the quiet night, but the man just curved his lips and took a step towards me. Another step. He sauntered up to the muzzle of the gun before stopping. I couldn't help but glance at the ground. There was a shadow. He wasn't some ghost or something. My heart was roaring inside. Just an ordinary human. Why isn't he afraid of death? But I'm worried he might get himself killed. The downtown area was just 2 streets away. It would be really troublesome. I put on my usual fierce expression, glaring and baring my teeth, grinding my teeth as if chewing on something. If you dare to talk nonsense, I'll shoot you. My heart was pleading. Please, just take the easy way out. I wouldn't dare shoot you. He lowered his eyes, glanced at the gun I was gripping tightly, shook his head, and chuckled. You shouldn't have let me get this close. I was stunned for a moment, and my eyelid twitched heavily. It's over. I was careless. I actually let him get so close. If he was also in the underworld, he must have learned how to disarm someone. Right now, the odds of pulling the trigger and succeeding are probably less than 10%. Cold sweat trickles down my back, and a list of people I've offended recently flashes through my mind at top speed. Unfortunately, it's a blank. Since I took office, I haven't had any major conflicts with anyone. In a moment of distraction, he leans in closer again. Just then, the clouds cover the moon once more, and my vision plunges into darkness. I'm already night blind, and now I can't see a thing. I have to admit, I'm really panicking. The fingertip on the trigger trembles uncontrollably. When I feel a warm breath spraying on my skin, my brain hasn't even reacted yet, and my finger has already curled reflexively and pulled. It didn't pull. The safety catch had been engaged by him at some point. A snicker comes from the darkness, and the air and his breath brush across my cheek, making it tingle. You really gonna shoot me? I fumble to turn off the safety, but my hand freezes mid-air, because the finger on the trigger has been taken into his mouth. My scalp tingles. What the hell is he doing? What the hell is he doing? Is there any normal person who, when being pointed at by a gun, would lick the hand holding the gun in and out, in and out, in and out? I couldn't take it anymore. What on earth are you trying to do? Boss, there's a better way than silencing me. He paused, then grasped the other wrist I'd just raised. Gag my mouth, then I won't blab. With what? How? For how long? A bunch of questions were on the tip of my tongue, but before I could ask them, he suddenly put his arms around me. He started laughing. Are you nervous? Before dawn, I scrambled out of his place. My whole body ached, mixed with an indescribable soreness, and every step I took was wobbly. Damn it, just one breakup and I've sunk this low. I despised myself, but it also confirmed that he probably didn't have any other motives. Just a pathetic gay guy who's been single too long and is desperate, going crazy looking for a man. He barely talked all night, from wanna go up for a sit to silent and endless demands. As long as what's being demanded isn't the interests and status of the Spring Group, then everything is negotiable. Of course, I kind of enjoyed it too. I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't stop thinking about it for days, and I'd wander around that dark alley for no good reason. Unfortunately, it was too dark, and I left in such a hurry that I just couldn't remember which house it was. I regret it. I didn't even ask for his name, let alone his contact information. I really regret it. All I could think about were his swaying hair tips, his sliding Adam's apple, and the beads of sweat on his forehead that seemed about to fall. Boss? Snapping back to reality, the young guy stepped back nervously and then took a quick peek at me. I casually wiped my cheek and put on a cold expression. Speak. The stores in the Western District were smashed last night. Which one? He said timidly. All of them. Click. The lighter slipped from my hand and landed on the coffee table, the blue flame disappearing in a flash. This is the third time this month. The first two times could barely be seen as normal minor frictions. If we don't take this seriously this time, it just won't cut it. Did you catch anyone? The scene was too chaotic, and they all got away. He was really frustrated. Looks like they came prepared this time. In Tong City, the Gray Forces split into three parts. The Spring Group, the Tsang Gang, and the Fu family. After the previous leader of the Spring Group passed away, the Tsang Gang suddenly announced its disbandment, and the leader disappeared without a trace. So now, among the well-known gangs, only me and the Fu family are left. I can't figure out who has such a deep hatred. Anyway, can't be the Fu family. It's not that I'm being naive or biased. A guy like James, if he has a feud with someone, he'd just go over and settle it with his fists. He wouldn't stoop to this kind of underhanded trick. Got it. Send more men over to help. Seeing me stand up, my subordinate quickly followed and asked, Boss, are you going to investigate? I can call Henry to go with you. No need. After firmly refusing, I snapped, no one is allowed to follow me. 3 p.m. On Wednesday is my unshakable dessert time. My rusty brain desperately needs some delicious little desserts to refresh it. I made a few extra rounds to make sure there was no one tailing me. Then I put on my sunglasses, got out of the car, and walked into the dessert shop. The rich sweetness instantly enveloped me. A cinnamon chocolate donut, drenched in maple syrup. I've been looking forward to this autumn special for over half a month. Just saying the name makes my mouth water. In my mind, I'm already imagining the moment I bite into the donut, the rich flavor reaching the roof of my mouth, filling my entire mouth and even my nose. Sorry, the special is sold out. A clear male voice brought me back to reality. Seeing me frozen in place, he patiently repeated it. We sold out this morning, but, he paused, then said, for you, I can make another batch as an exception. Only then did I shift my gaze to his face, and my heart skipped a beat. It was him. What are you doing here? He was wearing a mask, his eyelashes slightly lowered. I've always been here, looking forward to your visit every day. But you seem only interested in donuts and never noticed me. Just like that night, you left without a word, as if you couldn't wait to get away. There was actually a hint of grievance in his tone. To be honest, I really didn't notice him. During the time I liked James, ordinary men were automatically labeled as unimportant in my field of vision. No matter how many times he lingered in front of me or how tenderly he rubbed my hand while handing me the paper bag, I remained unmoved. The only thing in my eyes was just 3 words: pastry chef. But I glanced at the name tag on his chest. How long will it take? The dough is used up. It might take a while, 2 or 3 hours perhaps. I didn't have time to waste here. You go ahead and get busy. He took out a sticky note, wrote 2 lines with his head down, then handed it to me, raising his eyebrows slightly. I'll pack it and take it home. Waiting for you. The words waiting for you were an undeniable hint of intimacy. I took a quick look. It was an address and a phone number. I didn't take it. He tilted his head slightly and said, huh? I took a deep breath, put my hands back in my pockets, left with a "I'll come back next time," and then turned around and left. He was still looking at me as he sat back in the car. Even through the French window and the car window, his gaze was still intense, like a beast crouching and waiting for its chance. Had I been stared at like this before? I didn't even notice. A guy like this, how could I have grouped him with ordinary men? I started the car with one hand and quickly messaged Henry with the other. Check on someone, Matthew, a pastry chef at Margaret's in the 6th block. See if he has any other identities. When Henry sent the message, I was just leaving the West End. The store downstairs was smashed up, so of course I had to show up to soothe the emotions. Inevitably, I was completely surrounded by the madam and the young male escorts. After all that back and forth, it was already dark. While waiting at a red light, I quickly went through the report he sent. His resume was clean. The young master of the Beau family. He doesn't like finance, only baking. He studied in France for 6 years and ran a dessert shop. He just returned to the country early this year. It was around the same time as William's death and my taking on the task under urgent circumstances. Other than that, there was nothing suspicious. The car behind honked to urge me. I threw my phone aside, hesitated for a second, and then turned in another direction. Matthew didn't seem surprised at all. He stood with his arms folded, leaning against the door frame, a faint smile playing on his lips. Boss, was it the donut or me that changed your mind? My eyes naturally swept past him and landed on the sofa where we'd had that tussle last time. Instantly, I felt a bit awkward. The donut. What a pity I didn't make it. Fine. His words left me in a real bind. Given my tough talk just now, I should have had the backbone to turn around and leave. But my feet seemed glued to the floor, not budging an inch. Matthew didn't say a word, and neither did I move. We just stood there in silence for a while. Then he reached his hand out towards me. When he saw me reluctantly move closer, he suddenly let out a little laugh. His hand then went straight past me and landed on the doorknob behind me. Helping you face the truth. What you really want is me. As his voice faded by my ear, the door closed. His presence suddenly bore down on me. Our breaths intertwined, reaching a tipping point, but then he stopped. He pulled back a bit, looking slightly disgusted. Ugh, it reeks of a brothel. He must have smelled it ages ago. Bringing it up right now, he was clearly trying to make me feel bad. Just bear with it. Can't stand it. Every time I smell it, I keep thinking about how they pleased you. Well, what else could I do? Take a shower, of course. But I'm not so lust-crazed that I just nonchalantly take a shower at someone else's place. Matthew was quick to catch on. He promptly stripped naked, raised his hands, and did a spin. Feeling better, boss? So the fight started in the bathroom and spread to his bedroom. During the break, I was lying around, bored, scrolling through my phone when I heard his footsteps coming back. The holster was a bit too far away, but there was a knife hidden in my belt. Faster than his voice was the smell of donuts. Cinnamon chocolate. Slightly surprised, I sat up straight. Thought you said you didn't make any? Was afraid you'd run off after eating. He handed me the plate, and without hesitation, I grabbed one and stuffed it into my mouth. Tastes so good I could die. Forgot the maple syrup. Hang on. Matthew got up again. After I'd happily finished one, as I reached for a second, my brow suddenly twitched. I looked up and saw him looking down at me, smiling wickedly. Come on, boss. You're letting your guard down already? My heart skipped a beat. I quickly turned my head, but my hand grabbed nothing. My pants had been moved away at some point. Don't be nervous. Just kidding. Matthew took out the syrup and drizzled it over the donut. Some got on his fingertips, so he raised his hand and put them in his mouth. After getting our energy back, Matthew wasn't afraid of me at all. Suddenly, I said, Matthew, do you look down on me? He was taken aback for a moment, then started laughing. Of course not. I just think that someone with shiny eyes when eating desserts can't be that bad. I broke off a piece and put it in my mouth, saying, You're in for a disappointment. I'm not exactly a good person. The syrup soaked into the surface, and when I took a bite, it had a dense, cheesecake-like texture. After chewing a couple of times, I handed the plate back to him and said, So, is someone who's keen on making desserts a good person? Matthew met my gaze, and his Adam's apple moved slightly. Finish this. The night is still young. I still left before dawn. I don't have the habit of sharing a bed with others, especially someone like Matthew whose identity is unknown. I didn't believe a single word of his resume. I don't know what his intentions are for getting close to me. The only thing I'm sure of for now is he's really good at what he does. I'll keep him around for the time being. The cigarette between my fingers burned down to the end. My phone vibrated. Do you mind if I prepare a few sets of clothes and pants for you? Mine don't fit you very well. I tilted my head back and looked at the only warm yellow light on the whole building. Matthew's tall figure was still standing by the window. I crushed out the cigarette but opened the car door and got into the driver's seat. Whatever. Do you know my size? Trust my hands. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but lift. Realizing this, I quickly rubbed my face. No way. If I smile too much, I won't be able to look fierce in front of those guys. I made a fierce face in the rear view mirror, and suddenly the phone rang. There was a lot of noise on the other end. People were howling. Boss? Boss, there's a huge fire. Can you escape? We can't get in. Fire? What fire? After asking, my eyelids suddenly twitched. I gripped the phone tightly. Where's the fire? My apartment was burned to ashes. Under the impact of the fire department's high-pressure water gun, all I could see was a mess of black paste. I have a lot of places to live. For safety reasons, I don't stay in one place for long. I hadn't been to this apartment for ages, but to me, it was the most important one. It was left to me by William before he passed away. Every corner of it was a witness and reminder of the past. Boss, glad you're okay. The younger guys wanted to hug me but didn't dare to come closer. Instead, they hugged another one of them and cried their eyes out. I pulled my gaze back from the mess and looked at them expressionlessly. Were you all here when the fire started? Benjamin caught a fish while sea fishing. We thought if you were still up, we'd grill it and have it together. Why did you think I was here? My tone turned cold unconsciously. They stopped crying and looked at each other in confusion. Because when we were driving by, we saw the lights on from a distance. We stopped to take a look and found out there was a fire. They stammered as they spoke, but they didn't seem to be lying. Got it. You guys go back first. They shouted loudly and noisily. Boss, we'll stay with you. Sometimes, some strange thoughts would pop into my head. Like, these guys weren't really scared of me. They just liked getting scolded by me for some reason. Get out of here. They immediately left cheerfully. After everyone had left, I stepped into the pitch-black room. The preliminary guess for the cause of the fire is wire aging. It sounds pretty convincing, considering this building is really old. All the other residents have moved out. The only things left lingering around are probably cockroaches, rats, that sort of stuff. Oh, and me. I looked at the charred shelf. The books, photo frames, and souvenirs on it had all turned to ashes. I was only 6 when William adopted me. At that time, my mother caught syphilis from a customer. With no way to get treatment, in despair, she took me and jumped into the river. Fortunately, he saved us. After my mother passed away, I was placed in this old apartment and became the youngest member of William's group. 20 years have passed in a flash. I know every inch of this place by heart. I'm way too familiar with it, so familiar that the moment I walked in just now, I knew things in the room had been touched by someone. Someone rummaged around and then set fire to try and destroy the traces. It's hard not to think about the store in the West District getting smashed yesterday. Creating a mess and chaos was probably also to cover up the tracks. So what were they looking for? Did they find it? If not, a creepy thought suddenly popped into my head. If they didn't find it, could they still be around? Still in this building, in some corner, secretly watching me? As if to confirm my suspicion, faint footsteps came from upstairs. 1 step, 2 steps. There was more than one person upstairs. I immediately reached for my waist, but found nothing. I got out of the car in such a rush that my gun was still in it. These were Matthew's pants, and I didn't even have a knife on me. The people upstairs started running without any attempt to hide. I didn't waste any time and quickly rushed out the door and started running downstairs. Although I was curious about who they were, I wasn't stupid enough to face them unarmed. They clearly heard me too, and their footsteps suddenly became chaotic and hurried. I was the first to rush out of the corridor door. When I saw my car, I felt a bit more at ease. As long as I could leave here unharmed this time, there would surely be a chance to expose these. Wait a minute. I stopped in the middle of pulling the car door and took a step back. Suddenly, a breaking sound came from behind me. I stiffly turned around and saw a familiar face. Matthew shouted at me urgently, "Get in the car." My rational mind said something was seriously wrong, and I shouldn't get in, but my body involuntarily opened the car door and got in. Almost the moment I closed the car door, the car started moving at full speed, just narrowly missing the people rushing out of the corridor. "Don't you owe me an explanation? Fasten your seatbelt. Why are you here? Fasten your seatbelt." Seeing that I hadn't moved yet, Matthew clicked his tongue softly. With one hand on the steering wheel, he leaned over and reached for the seatbelt on my side. "Hey, watch the road when you're driving." I quickly pushed him back to the driver's seat. "I'll do it. I'll do it." The metal buckle clicked into place, and then he finally said, "You left in such a hurry. You looked like something was wrong, so I got worried and followed." That's a load of crap. There was such a long time gap. Does he think I'm stupid? Since he doesn't want to talk, there's no point in pressing him. I turned my head away and stared at the streetlights outside the window, disappearing from view one by one, saying nothing. We sat in silence for a long time, then Matthew let out a soft sigh. "I can only promise that I won't harm you. I'm not really on the same side as them." He clearly knows what those people are looking for. I got annoyed right away. A nameless anger, hard to define, burned fiercely inside me, raging around but finding no way out. So frustrating. So frustrating. I don't know if I'm annoyed at Matthew, who, despite getting so close to me, still won't tell me the truth, or at myself for letting him stay by my side, knowing he has ulterior motives. Pull over. I want to get out. Can't stop. Matthew glanced at the rearview mirror and curled the corners of his lips at me. "I'll need you to reimburse me for the speeding ticket money tomorrow." He suddenly accelerated, and I was pressed straight against the back of the seat. The swear words got stuck in my throat, and I couldn't catch my breath for a long time. Having been with William for so many years, I've never experienced such a thrilling car chase. There were few cars on the road late at night, and the wind outside the window almost took on a shape. I felt carsick for the first time in my life and wanted to vomit. "If you keep speeding like this, you'll get your license revoked." Ugh, this is such a hassle. I've even got an international driving license. I really wanted to complain that it was no different from driving without a license, but I didn't dare to open my mouth for fear that if I did, I'd vomit all over him. After enduring it again and again, he finally stopped. I opened the car door and started vomiting. Matthew got out of the car, walked around to my side, and gently patted my back to help me catch my breath. It took me a long time to recover. Did they catch up just now? I don't know. I get nervous as soon as I see a car behind us. What if it's them? I wanted to kill him. Just as I looked up, I was completely stunned. We were actually back downstairs at the apartment building. "I bet they won't guess you'd come back." Matthew took out a few tissues to wipe the corners of my mouth. "Why didn't you get in your own car just now?" Stop wiping me like there's no end to it. I shrugged away in disgust. The height the car window was lowered changed. Pretty sharp. He helped me check the car thoroughly, inside and out. Besides rummaging around and taking my gun, those guys probably didn't do anything else. My mind was a complete mess, and the guy in front of me wouldn't say a single extra word. I pinched the bridge of my nose. I'm going back. Matthew wouldn't let go of the car door. Give me a kiss before you go. I came to pick you up in the middle of the night without sleeping. You gotta give me some reward, right? I just threw up. Then just give me a hug. Matthew raised his hand and pulled me into his arms. Behind him, the morning glow was blazing. We've done much more intimate things, yet this simple hug felt really strange. After a long while, he let go of his hands and stepped back. His beautiful eyes gave the illusion of being as gentle as water. Oliver. It was the first time I heard him call me like this, and my heart skipped a beat. Before William died, did he tell you anything special? My slightly erratic heartbeat and breathing gradually calmed down. I asked him calmly, about what? For example, that song group. I really wanted to act all mysterious and tell him it was none of his business. But my mouth was honest and said, no, there really wasn't. William left in such a hurry. Oh, I thought so, Matthew said, without any sign of disappointment. He nodded slightly. Go back and rest. There was no trace of disappointment on Matthew's face. He nodded slightly and said, go back and rest. As I watched him turn around and start walking back, I suddenly asked, what are you gonna do next? Me? Matthew smiled lazily. I'm going back to the shop to knead dough, of course. I watched him disappear from sight, then lowered my head and opened my palm. It was the SD card from Matthew's dash cam. After he'd played so many sneaky tricks on me, I finally got one over on him. When I saw James again, there was no more flutter in my heart. Instead, there was this strange urge, especially when I saw the veins bulging on the back of his hand. I instinctively wanted to cover my head and crouch down. You've got no one left under you? He glanced at the USB drive I handed him, then flicked the ash off his cigarette expressionlessly. Well, it's a bit inconvenient. The Spring Group has been targeted. I don't think my people can find out anything. No matter how many times we try, it'll just be like Matthew's resume, full but with no useful information. What's in it for me? I gestured a number reluctantly. I'll give you 30% of the revenue from the red light district next quarter. James scoffed. Who cares? I raised my voice point 50%. Find someone else. There's no one else. I got anxious. Well, what do you want then? He looked at me and raised an eyebrow. This, I pointed at myself. Me? Why do I feel a bit resistant? I was still caught up in the struggle of whether to make a sacrifice, when James froze for a moment, and his expression gradually turned into one of disgust. What are you thinking? What I want is all the revenue. And now you have to add the development rights of the Southern District. What an outrageous demand, taking advantage of the situation. Such a thick-skinned guy. Deal. While James sent people to investigate, I watched the footage over and over again several times. The time is intermittent. Many time periods are turned off, or rather, deleted. All I can see is that he goes back and forth between two places every day, home and the dessert shop. There are no other activities. The sense of accomplishment of stealing the SD card right under his nose is completely gone. Besides the group of people accidentally filmed, the rest of the content seems more like what he himself wanted me to see. I'm so annoyed. After 2 days of impatient waiting, James finally got in touch with me. I vaguely guessed that they were all related to the song group, and the conclusion was just as I thought. There's also a voice recording. Wanna listen? I paid a fortune for it. How could I not listen? Every word James said is burning my money. Play it. The voice recording is very short, just one sentence. Don't come looking for me. I'm sorry. I can't turn back in this lifetime. I listened to it several times. The voice seemed a bit familiar, but with the interference of the static, I just couldn't recall where I'd heard it before. Who is this? Sebastian, the missing leader of the song group. Now I know what they're looking for. To be honest, the benefits I paid for suddenly don't seem so painful. It's actually quite worth it. You managed to get this? Hacked into Matthew's phone to get it. Damn, that's impressive. No wonder it's the Fu family. I was filled with admiration. But since you hacked in, why is there only this one sentence? What, are the others going to cost extra? Well, I got caught as soon as I hacked in. He's really sharp. James casually lifted his eyelids, gave a faint smile, and said, so, if you're gonna act, you'd better do it soon. I was left stunned on the spot. You only told me to investigate. You didn't say I couldn't stir up trouble. He stood up, nodded at me, and said, remember to transfer the money on time. No installments, and definitely no extensions. I floored the gas pedal all the way. I pulled up in front of the dessert shop and caught sight of that familiar figure in the distance, feeling a bit more at ease. The copper bell on the door tinkled a series of clear sounds. Before I could even utter a single syllable, I saw Matthew close his eyes with a sigh. What? I only checked up on him twice. He should think about how many times he checked on me, tossing and turning, just in 2 nights. I was about to have a proper argument when suddenly a strong force grabbed my nape. My mind went blank for a second. Before I could break free, I found myself pinned to the ground when I came to my senses. My cheek hit the tile, and instantly, the smell of blood filled my nostrils. My head was buzzing. There was only one thought in my mind. He clearly said he wouldn't harm me. I struggled to lift my head and looked at Matthew in disbelief. No, I should call him Daniel. He shook his head helplessly, raised his bound hands hidden under the counter, and said with a bitter smile, why don't you learn your lesson? You got burned once, and you still dare to come alone. I wasn't betrayed. This realization made me feel an inexplicable sense of relief. But right now, the situation is far from one where I can relax. Speak. About the people. The words came out slurred, and the tone was rigid. They were the death soldiers trained by Sebastian. James said they were like a bunch of savage beasts, paranoid and withdrawn, social outcasts who couldn't integrate into normal human society. Sebastian used them to form the sharpest blade of the Tsang group. They could make people disappear from this world silently, neatly cutting through any obstacles in their way. It could be said that the previous Tsang group's foothold in Tong City was entirely due to them. Now that Sebastian is missing, these beasts are leaderless, and each of them is secretly wanted. At their wits' end, it wouldn't be surprising if they did anything. I took a difficult breath and quickly sorted out the current information. Everything was easy to understand, except for one link that didn't fit. What the hell does this have to do with the Spring Group? There's a proper target for every grievance and debt. Go after Sebastian. Why are they hounding me? I just wanted to live a leisurely life of collecting rent and protection money, and secretly going out for desserts. My back, along with the fabric of my clothes, was grabbed, and I was forced to stand up. It hurt like hell, but I didn't dare to cry out. When I looked up, I still couldn't hold back and gasped. The little bit of mental preparation I had was totally useless. They looked less like humans and more like human-shaped creatures with blurry faces. Some had missing skulls and sunken heads, while others were missing facial features and had empty eye sockets. Clearly, they weren't born like this. They became like this after following Sebastian. I suddenly kind of understood the obsession of these people. When loyalty goes to extremes, turns into madness and hatred, wild beasts can't be tamed. Those who raise wild beasts will eventually become their food, torn apart and devoured. The first words I said were going to be crucial. I had to calm their emotions and find a way to distance myself. I swallowed hard and glanced at Matthew. His face was full of undisguised worry. According to the information James found, he had his old identity erased by his brother Sebastian 10 years ago and started a normal, ordinary life, staying away from gang disputes. If Sebastian hadn't vanished, he probably wouldn't have set foot in this hometown. Now, facing these thugs, no matter how good his fighting skills were, it was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Stupid mouth. Why am I speechless? Quickly coughed, but this cough made things worse. My mind went blank from the coughing, and when I opened my mouth, what came out was, what the hell does it have to do with Spring Group? Cold sweat started trickling down. Look. What I mean is, William's been dead for over half a year. If there were any grudges before, they should be gone by now. When he was alive, he and the Spring Group kept their distance, hardly interacted at all. And as for me, I barely met him a couple of times. You won't find what you're looking for with me and the current Spring Group. I said all this in one breath and secretly sized up their expressions. Luckily, they didn't seem like they were about to blow up. My confidence soared. I bit my lower lip and tried to shift the blame. You might as well go to the neighboring Fu Group. They're really something. There's no information they can't dig up in this world. Bullet. William blocked it. I was interrupted and froze for a moment. What? When I saw the old bullet hole on his forehead, I was shocked. What? William shot him. No, he said blocked. I hesitated. If I understood correctly, he meant that he had taken a bullet for William. Nick home, Nick home, Nick home. Another person started muttering repeatedly. Many years ago, William almost died in Nick home. Everyone thought he had died in that conflict, but he miraculously survived in the end. Could it be Oliver? Matthew, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. I looked at him. His smile was relieved yet pale. I've kept quiet all along, following my brother's wish to let him maintain his dignity till the end. The Tsongin Tsong group means spring. These sharpest blades were never meant to be used by Tsong group. To be precise, Tsong group is William's sharpest knife. This was a situation I had never imagined, because Tsong group barely registered in William's words. When he did mention it, it was just that troublesome guy. My impression of Sebastian was rather vague. The first time I saw him was at the celebration of the establishment of Tsong group. There were so many gangs back then, and each of them tried to give him a hard time. The scene was extremely chaotic. He was calm and taciturn. The last time I saw him was the day William was buried. He was dressed in black, standing outside the crowd, holding a string in my mind was plucked, and my scalp tightened. I stared blankly at Matthew. Did you come up with the name of your dessert shop yourself? He was taken aback and denied it. No, it was my brother. Why? That day, Sebastian brought a large bouquet of margaritas. When we visited the grave this year, many small flowers had grown in front of William's tomb. Henry asked me tearfully, "Boss, do you think these are William's yearnings?" Probably yearnings, but it wasn't William's. I think I know where he is. When the grave was dug open, a stench of decay hit us. I didn't dare to look and stayed far away. Those people gathered around the grave and let out beast-like wails. Each cry was more shrill than the last. I was worried Matthew couldn't take it, so I fought back my nausea and wanted to pull him away. Just as I forced myself to take 2 steps closer, he turned around on his own. "Don't look. I won't. I'll take care of everything before dawn. I'm sorry for causing you so much trouble." Indeed, the losses were heavy, but I felt awkward bringing it up. After all, he'd lost his brother and must be devastated. Did he commit suicide out of guilt? After all, he'd done so many heinous things. Guilt? Matthew gave a light laugh. A man like him didn't know the meaning of guilt, but you could say so. Falling humbly in love with William was the greatest sin of his life. Matthew handled things perfectly. Not a single bit of news leaked out. Those people had no more obsessions. Matthew said that being executed passively or ending it themselves were their only 2 choices. The Tsong group just vanished like that, along with Sebastian's secret admiration, completely disappearing into the passage of time. You're really a good fit for the underworld. Any thoughts about getting into it? My brother won't allow it. Matthew put my slipping arm back on his shoulder, leaned down, and kissed my cheek. Does it still hurt? The fracture on your face. I grinned and hooked my arm around him. It doesn't hurt anymore. Matthew looked at me and was distracted for a moment. There was actually a touch of pity and compassion in the depths of his eyes. "Oliver, do you know why my brother won't allow it? Because he cares about you. He cares so much that he tried every way to clear your name and let you live an ordinary life." Yeah. He paused, as if hesitating whether to say something. After a while, he finally said slowly, "William had a lover and a son. Before he died, he separated them and transferred all his assets to their names. Did you know that?" I knew what he was trying not to say. The current William group is just a huge skeleton covered with a layer of skin. The precious internal organs, blood, and flesh have all been transferred long ago, leaving it empty. I'm just struggling to walk alone inside, a huge, moving target, a scapegoat. "Oliver, come with me." To be honest, I was really tempted. I lost the gun William gave me. The house William gave me burned down. I've pretty much repaid William's kindness. I seem to be free, but lately, I keep thinking about the moans I heard by the grave that day. Not yet. My guys need to have a good place to end up. Matthew looked at me seriously, then smiled. "Okay, I'll wait for you. Wait till you come to buy donuts next time without sunglasses." Matthew's side story. I was startled when I saw Oliver in the store. He's newly in charge of the Spring Group. What on earth is he doing in a dessert shop? And he was acting so sneaky. 2 raspberry white chocolate donuts. To go, hurry up. As he spoke, he cautiously glanced around. If I didn't own the store, I'd really suspect this was some kind of contraband trading spot. He didn't seem to recognize me. That actually relieved me. After all, the fewer people who know about my brother's mess, the better. He always came at exactly 3 in the afternoon on Wednesdays. After a while, I remembered the first time we met. He followed William to my brother's banquet, a little guy with his eyes only on the dessert table. I gave him a piece, and he thanked me non-stop for a long time. Such an adorable and well-behaved kid. An adorable, well-behaved kid with a sweet tooth. Poor kid who's adorable, well-behaved, loves desserts but has to pretend to be tough to disguise himself. With no leads on my brother, I started secretly following him. He's not cut out to be a gang boss. I was being obvious enough, and he still didn't notice. I witnessed him getting rejected when confessing his love, and then getting beaten up. He was crying his eyes out. Well, this is kind of like the old days. I hid in the shadows and watched for a long time. Suddenly, I felt really uncomfortable. He reminded me of my stupid brother, who couldn't get the one he loved and stupidly worked for others. My brother should be dead. When I received his last message, that connection between us as biological brothers suddenly broke. I couldn't sense his existence anymore. He's dead, but Oliver is still alive. I wanted to give him a hand, to comfort him properly. Well, things got a bit out of control. Before I could build a good relationship with him, those wild guys my brother raised also went out of control. They lost trust and patience in me and started looking for people in their own way. I received a tip from an old subordinate and saved Oliver. Seeing how they were relentlessly chasing him, I was filled with endless fear. It was so close that Oliver would have been caught by them. Those brutes only know how to dismember a person bit by bit, drive someone's sanity to the brink, until there are no lies left, and then dispose of them quietly. I started to hate my brother, and hate William. Those two just up and left, but innocent people got dragged into this mess. I tried reasoning with those beasts, but it was a total waste of time. They were already bloodthirsty, determined to find my brother, alive or dead. I admit, I underestimated Oliver. Turns out he's pretty smart and sharp. Seeing my brother in such a state, all rotted away, and still holding William's ashes, I should have been crying, but the stench at the scene was just too overpowering. I felt like throwing up. Oliver still showed up at my dessert shop at exactly 3 p.m. on Wednesdays without fail. Occasionally, he was too busy to come, and I'd pack the desserts and take them home. Then I'd feed them to him myself. Well, actually, I preferred it this way. Oliver and I were getting more and more in sync. Could it be that my donuts had some kind of magical cures-like effect? I should make some baguettes, I thought. The following spring, on an ordinary Wednesday afternoon, Oliver walked into my store without that goofy pair of sunglasses he usually wore. He smiled at me. "Matthew, pack it up.